We talked about in the previous video just plain simplifying radicals, but now if you notice on these, we need to simplify radical expressions. So we're not solving, but we are still simplifying, but now we are going to have adding and subtracting questions in here. And where we could use this is if we are asking you to find the perimeter of a shape, you might have to add some different pieces together, and some of your answers will have radicals or square roots in them, and we need to know how to simplify those. So on these first ones, what you have to think of is adding and subtracting the radicand, which is the number that's inside the radical or underneath the radical. So that would be my 3 right here is the radicand. It needs to be identical before you can add or subtract any of the terms together. So if it's not identical, you have to make sure that you can simplify it first. If it's simplified as far as it can go, then you have to check if you can add or subtract it. The number, once it is the same, then you can just, oops, sorry about that. There we go. You can add or subtract the numbers in front, so it's really just the coefficients then that will change in front. So on this very first one, you can see that the radicand are both 3. That means that I can combine my 7 minus my 2, which gives me a 5, and then my square root of 3 stays the same. Like we did on the last notes as well, we need to put the non-exact and the exact answer. So this is the exact. So my non-exact answer is 8.660. So I type that in the calculator, and there is my decimal answer. On number 2, I would like you to try this one now on your own. So since they are already 5, I want you to simplify and combine your coefficients together. Since you have a 10 minus 6, you should get a 4, and the square root of 5 will stay the same, so that's the answer you should have chosen. On number 3, again, all of them are the same, so all we have to do is combine the coefficients together. So 5 plus 9 is a 14, but then we have to subtract 8 from that, so that gives us a 6, and the square root of 6 will still be there. And our non-exact answer then is 14.697. And I realize I never did that on number 2. So our non-exact answer up here should be 8.944. So just like on number 2, I want you to answer number 4. Your exact answer should be 7 square root 13 because you're adding your 8. Minus 7 is a 1, plus 6 more is 7. Your non-exact answer then would be 25.239. All right, so now we are getting into if they are not exactly the same of what we need to do. So on number 5, you can see that they're not exactly the same, so we need to simplify each of them individually. So 18, my 2 factors, I could use 9 and 2. 9 gives me a perfect square of 3. So remember the 3 goes outside, the 2 is left over inside. And now I do the same thing for 8. So any 2 factors of 8 would be 2 and 4. I know my 4 is a perfect square, so I get a pair of 2's from that. That goes on the outside. My 2 that's inside, or that's left over, stays inside, and my sign carries down. Now I can see that my radicand is the same, so I can combine my coefficients together. 3 minus 2 gives me a 1. So I get 1 square root 2. My non-exact answer then would be 1.414. On number 6, I would like you now to simplify both of these and combine your coefficients together and try that one on your own. For 8, we would have 2 and 4. So you'd have a pair of 2's on the outside. We have the 3 that was outside to begin with is joining it. And then our 2 is left over inside. 24 then, you could use a 2 and a 12. 12 would give us a 4 and a 3. So I have a pair of 2's that would be on the outside. My 2 and 3 multiply back together on the inside to become a 6. And my sign carries down, so it becomes a minus. So if I simplify this over here, I've got a 6 square root 2 minus 2 square root 6. Now if you notice, they are not the same. So since they're not the same, that's as far as I can go, and that's my answer. I can still find the non-exact answer. If I type that whole thing into my calculator, I get 3.586. I enlarge these just so we have a little bit more space to work them out. So we're going to jump down to number 9. On number 9, let's go ahead and simplify it. So the 27, I can get a 3 and a 9. I'd have a pair of 3's then for my 27, so my 3 is going to join the 5 on the outside. So I've got a 3 times the 5. There's a 3 left over inside, so this becomes a 15 square root 3. Now for the 6 square root 3, I can't do anything with it, so I just carry that straight down, so it's still plus 6 square root 3. And I can see already I've got 2 of them that are the same, but let's check the last one. 48, let's see, we could do a 4 and a 12. So 12, I can pull out a 3 and a 4, and instead of breaking down the 4's, I already have a pair, so let's stop there. And I had a minus 4 on the outside. I've got the 4 that's joining it, and now there's a 3 on the inside. So, sorry about that, there'll be a 16 then, and a 3. So I can simplify the outside number. So I've got 15 plus 6 is 21, minus 16, and I end up with a 5 square root of 3. So there's my exact answer. My decimal answer then would be 8.660, that would round up to. So I want you now to try number 11 on your own. So simplify all 3 of those terms, combine them together, and put your exact and non-exact answer. For the 27, we know we can already use the 9 and the 3, so we get a pair of 3's you should have used. The 3 will join your 2 on the outside, and you have a 3 left over inside, so we've got 6 square root 3. For the 48 again, we can do the same thing we did right up here. So we have a 4, a 12, I can pull out a 4 and a 3, so we've got a pair of 4's that are going to join my 3 on the outside. And then I have this 3 left over. So we have a 12 square root 3, and this was a plus from up above. Next one will be a minus, and we have 4 times 3. We have a pair of 2's that will join the 4. And then there is a 3 left over inside, so I've got 8 square root 3. Now remember, we're looking for the radicands are the same, so I can combine all the numbers together in front. So 6 plus 12 is 18, minus 8 gives us a 10. So we'd have 10 square root 3 would be your exact answer. Your decimal answer, when you type that into the calculator, should be 17.321. On for the very, very last question. I want you to try this question just because there are a couple different things you can look for that you might be able to simplify. So if you notice, we have 3 different terms here that already have the same radicand. Even though they could be simplified, we could actually put those together first. So if I have 3 minus 2, that gives me 1, minus 5 would give us a negative 4 square root 12. And then this negative 4 square root 3 and my plus square root of 27, now I have it down to only 3 separate terms. Now granted, I still have to simplify this 12 to the 4 and 3, and I've got a pair of 2, so I could pull that out. So we get a negative 4 times that 2 with our 3 left over inside, so we have a negative 8 square root 3. This one already has a square root of 3, so I'm just going to carry that down. But the 27 does need to be simplified to 9 and 3. We've got a pair of 3's again, so that goes on the outside. So I've got a plus 3. Inside is my square root of 3. Now all 3 of the radicands are the same, so I can combine the outside numbers together. So negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. Plus 3 would give us a negative 9. And then our radicand is still the square root of 3. And with our exact answer, we get negative 9 square root 3, but the non-exact would be negative 15.588. So I just wanted to show you that sometimes you may be able to simplify some different terms together right away, even if they're not completely simplified all the way to begin with. just to make your setup a little bit shorter so you don't have as many parts that you need to combine together all at once.